Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. On this episode, I want to cover something for you guys I'm really excited to share with you. It's actually an item I designed from scratch, and it is the iPad 6 mini home wall dock. This is what I've been talking about to get my home automation to the next level, and we're going to go ahead and review it, what I went through to make it, and how I think you guys could use it as well if you have or plan to get an iPad mini 6. So let's get started. So, just to show you guys that this is the real deal, I'm gonna go ahead and hook our USB type C to it and let you guys hear that audible sound. Look at that, it's charging. It took a lot for me to get this to this point. I'm gonna share some of those headaches, trials, and errors with you guys, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this thing mounted on the wall so I can see how it works in real time. A couple of the other pieces that went into designing this, not only me going into Tinkercad and designing the mounting points and the brackets, as well as allowing it to slide in and out of the dock, and then making some minor changes to where the Type-C port goes and putting a 90-degree elbow on it, were things like this PoE adapter, which goes from PoE to Type-C and standard Ethernet. We don't need the standard Ethernet, but this Type-C was invaluable. Most of the ones I found were either regular USB, didn't have enough wattage, so on and so forth. If there's one thing I could request from PoE Texas to replace or redesign, if at all possible, is to make this thing flatter. So then I could make this flatter. If they were able to spread the components out, I haven't cracked this open to really see how they did it, but if they were able to flatten this at all, I know that this is going to be an issue with the Ethernet port, but if they could trim probably 8 millimeters off of this, which is a lot, then I'd be able to get this wall mount even flatter, which may be outside of the realm of possibility. But hey, a guy can ask, right? So other than that, it was mostly just a labor of love, doing a lot of editing and revisions in Tinkercad, printing, having to reprint, and having to reprint again due to some filament issues and some bed placement, stuff like that. But on the third try, I struck gold. So let me tell you guys how we got to this point. I've been looking at the older generation iPad mini for quite some time now and was strongly considering using it for my home automation interface. But with it being older, I was kind of leery about having something that may not get updates through the next 5 to 10 years or what have you. Not saying that this would be here that long, but I don't want to have to replace it because it stops getting support potentially. So I started looking at the iPad Airs and even the Pros, but building a mount that big would take a lot of time and a lot of filament and a lot of babying, and I really just didn't want to go down that process. So then on September 14th, Apple did their keynote event, finally putting the speculation to rest about the new iPad mini and confirming everybody's suspicion that it would look like the Air and the Pro. So I went ahead and did my pre-order. I started looking at their site, got the dimensions for the mini, and went ahead and started building a template around it in Tinkercad. This didn't take too long, took me maybe 2 hours, kind of had all of the dimensions in my head. So then I started fine tuning it. I added brackets for the PoE injector. I added, mounting points. I added a bay for the tablet to rest in when you go to take it out, so on and so forth. Started planning, the 90-degree elbow I would need, the shorter USB Type-C cable, and then I waited. So now we're up to September 22nd, 2 days before release. And of course, the YouTube influencers get their hands on these devices early. There were a couple of reviews where different influencers mentioned a couple of different features about the tablet, but one specifically struck me. The YouTube influencer actually specifically mentioned he could see someone actually using this for home automation as their central hub. I'm in a complete panic because that's me. I'm that guy. And the first thing I'm thinking is, man, somebody's going to beat me to the punch, even though I've already been working on this for a week.
So Friday comes, I do my first test fit, and it's not perfect. I chunk it. So go back into Tinkercad, play with it a little bit more, do another print. Let's see how this one comes out. And then I realized as soon as it's coming off the print bed, I made a mistake. I forgot to add glue to my print bed and the ends curled up because I was using ABS. So we chunked that one and start over. Now we're venturing into Friday night, Saturday morning territory. You know, football games are coming on. These prints take about 40 hours. So I was like, okay, I'll just go to a friend's house and watch a couple of football games and come back this evening later in the night when it's done. I get home at about 11 or 12, pull the print off the bed, slide the iPad in, perfect. We have a winner, guys. So from this point, I was so excited I almost couldn't sleep, but I knew I had to get some rest so that I could wake up early in the morning and start recording and get this video out. So that brings us to today. First thing I did this morning was grab my camera and start recording, and here we are. As far as I'm aware, this is the absolute first time that anyone has made a wall dock for the iPad mini, especially the new 6th gen that actually can charge from the wall, do FaceTime and everything else as a retrofit. I know that there are some kits that existed for the previous iPad minis that would put them inside the wall to where you would have to cut out sheetrock to get it more of a custom fit. This will mount directly to the surface of the wall without you making major modifications. The only thing you need is either a PoE Ethernet patch cable or potentially a power outlet recessed in the wall that will allow you to plug into the Type-C port.
All right, so first thing first, we're going to go ahead and glue this plug in. You want to make sure you're doing it with the iPad in the dock just to verify that it's in the correct position and it does start charging. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the charger and listen for that iPad sound. All right, so that's good. So I started using this Loctite Power Grab. It has a fast dry time. It's more of an adhesive than a glue, and it dries clear. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility with getting this back out in the event something happens to your Type-C adapter and you want to change it or something like that. So let's go ahead and fill in this hole. And then from here, you're just going to grab something like a business card or a piece of cardboard and kind of smush it down a little bit. And we don't need it to be perfect. We just need it to make sure that the adapter doesn't move. Do this. All right, now we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry, and then we're going to come back and we should be ready to take the iPad out and mount this to the wall. Okay, so now that this is dry, we can go ahead and slip in our PoE module from Texas PoE. It's just going to slip in like that. Almost like it was made to go in there, huh? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and bore out our holes a little bit so that we can screw these screws in. And I went with a very fine head to try to hide it as much as possible. I think when I revise this one more time, I'm going to drop this a little bit more, indent these holes a little bit more, and maybe set it up to put some type of felt in here just to protect the iPad from getting scratched. But that'll be more so if I'm doing it for others. It's fine for me. It doesn't appear to be causing any scratching, but if I wind up mass producing this, based on demand, I want to make sure I'm covering myself and not damaging somebody's product. So that may be something I look to do. But let's go ahead and get this guy on the wall, get it plugged in, and see it charging and in action. All right, so now that we have all of this fitted in, we're gonna go ahead. I actually had a pre-existing hole here from a previous tablet iteration I tried out. I actually made this grommet because the hole in the wall was a little too big, and I couldn't find a grommet that would actually fit properly, so 3D printed that. So I'm gonna line this hole up here. Then I'm just gonna thread these other holes in so they make a little indentation on the wall. Cable down. Like that. Get my level. All right, that looks about good. Okay, that one's in. That one should be marked. All right. Now, we have our marks here and here. And the reason I did that is because I actually have a stud running right here. So I've got marks here and here. I'm gonna drill those out with a small pilot bit, screw this one in, and we should be ready to go. So we have one slight issue. I measured this almost a little too perfect. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of countersinking so that these screws go all the way in. So we're gonna back them out, get the drummer real quick, knock that out. Still good. All right. Looking good. And bam. You can pull up the camera.
At this point, I went to walk across the driveway to show you guys that this was in real time. However, I forgot to refocus the lens, so you'll just see a little blob pass here in a bit. But while this is going, I did want to mention, when I said earlier, this is the first time I think anybody has ever made a on-wall mount that includes a PoE injector in the design natively so that you can power it up from the wall and just run an Ethernet jack straight out to the wall without any additional work going on in the background. And you can see the little blob there moving across the screen, walking in a little circle, and then I'm coming back in the house. But yeah, so all in all, I'm very pleased with how it looks aesthetically. Being that it's 3D printed, I can kind of print this in any color. I'm gonna rough up the edges a little bit, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of spray texture, tape everything down, of course, with the iPad out, spray texture it to match the texture of the wall. Then I'm gonna put a quick coat of paint on it, just so it matches the wall and looks like it was meant to be there from day one.
And just like that, we good to go. So now, just gonna take it up off the wall. Now I can walk around the house with it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications as we continue with the home remote now that we have this guy designed to go on the wall. See you guys on the next one. Later.